Okay, so I initially started the lesson by an identified target that's actually placed on the board. We review it with the students, and that kind of gives us our purpose, that gives us our focus point. The target is based on the standard that, or standards that I may or may not be addressing, that I may be addressing in the lesson. So that kind of is our focus right then and there initially. So I had, in my mind, I had prepared questions to help guide them through their thought process. For example, because we were focusing on main idea and theme or moral, where you have to take a large piece of information and shrink it down, I started with questions like, what's the author's purpose? Why do you think he wrote this? Why would he use it? So actually using active questioning, that was one of my practices. Then having the students share their thoughts, because I find oftentimes they may have an idea or two and may not have the confidence in their answers until they get the support from their peers. So doing what I guess you would call it share pair or pair discussion, and then going from that small individualized conversation to perhaps a larger small group. That was another strategy where then they can really feel validated in their opinions because they have a little bit more people to discuss with, and then going from that back to whole group where you have the support of your entire class, using certain cues like thumbs up, thumbs down in the side. That kind of keeps me aware of whether or not these practices are effective and what the students are thinking. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or 1, 2, 3. So in our class, one of our strategies is if you I say give me a number. 1 means I got it, Miss Brown, like seriously, could you stop talking? 2 means I need a little bit more practice, or I'm not quite sure. 3 means, are you speaking English? Because I have no idea what you're talking about. So using those type of cues throughout the lesson is very helpful when you're doing something like a seminar type discussion or a collaborative discussion with students. Oh, organization is like the foundation of everything. I had to know exactly what it was that I wanted them to do, so I prepared many of my own templates. I got my own resources, and I had them literally organized and available laid out. I wanted certain things to flow a certain way, so when we distributed the smaller fables, I had them in a basket because I wanted it to be passed around. These are all things that I actually, thought about in my planning. As far as the type of tools they were using, because they're going to be moving around the classroom, I needed them to be mobile. So I thought about the supplies that they would need to have readily at their disposal. So the organization was the key to the entire lesson, because without having those structures in place, we wouldn't have been successful. We'd have been running around trying to get different things and such like that. So that was like the foundation of it, I would say. Because it's seminar, there are rules that we have in place for, or I guess you would call group norms in place for seminar. That sets the basic foundation for the actual seminar. Things like making eye contact with the speaker, having respectful language, speaking like a scholar. These things focus the type of learning and the type of responses that I want from the students. I want them to give me academic responses, not necessarily how they feel, not a personal, or I guess an informal response. I want it to be academic. So by setting those norms in place, you kind of set the tone for the entire lesson. Certain things like checks, again, give me 5. These are 5 things they have to do. Eyes on me, hands and feet are still, body is in a seat, ears are listening, mouths are closed. So these 5 things are kind of like really quick ways to bring them back from their personal discussions to focus back on me. Having these things in place make this type of collaborative discussion possible and functional and helpful and organized. It keeps kind of the chaos, and it kind of keeps us moving in the way that we need to. I thought the students were extremely engaged. They were excited to share their thoughts. They were all participating, even the students that are shy, because I was able to walk over to them. I can hear their responses that they're having in their small groups. They perhaps wouldn't share with the large group, but they were actively engaged. They were bringing up personal stories from their own lives. So I know that I know I had caught them. I knew that they wanted to participate and they had made those connections. Well, that was another part of the organization piece. Actually, I found specific fables that would kind of relate to things that have happened in our class. So in the school, we talk about bullying. So I found fables that could be connected to bullying or how to deal with those type of situations or uncomfortable situations. I purposely chose the original fable of the bad kangaroo because it's about a kid in school getting in trouble with his, parents, and for the humor. So I chose those specific fables to kind of cater to their needs and what I've learned about them throughout the year. I would like to get to get their fables out. That was the part I want to see. That part I wanted to see their creation at the end. So I think I would break this lesson up next time into 2 separate days. I wouldn't perhaps do it as one continued lesson because I want that conversation that they had was important. But you don't want to just sit on something for hours on end, and for fear of losing engagement or intention, just to make sure that I was able to maintain their focus. I would have broken the lesson. Next time I will break it up into either 2 separate, periods or time periods or days even, so that we can actually spend more time with the discussion before they go to that creation piece instead of connecting it all in one.